And just like that, the journey continues. Welcome back to another episode of Dee-Boor by Andrew James Stewart. Today is a very, very unorthodox episode, and we're going to look at quite a few things. And to start off, as a public notice, it is close on, or at this stage, it's 2 months now that I have a baby boy. Yeah, it's quite exciting, quite interesting, and the journey continues. So, yeah, 2 months ago, at the birth of my son, I I thought that life would take a very interesting, or it would take a turn, right? Usually, when there's big moments in your life, it feels like you will take a turn, and for a moment, it felt almost like life would stop and it would pause, and you would just get a moment to absorb everything that is happening at that time. But it doesn't really work like that. I thought that when he's born on that night, that a magnanimous deposit of money is gonna go into my account, and life would be good, and I wouldn't need to work and do business, and wouldn't need to send invoices and the things that you need to do. I thought I wouldn't need to do it, but I was not shocked, not disturbed, but just a slight reality check that regardless of what happens in your life, life continues, the journey continues, and it was it was just great. Like, I wanted to just be in that moment for as long as possible and just enjoy the experience, because it is an experience like none other, especially your firstborn. You have never experienced this type of love in your life, and then it happens. Because pregnancy is long as 9 months, it goes from literally from 1 year into another year at some points. It can happen all in 1 year, but for us it was from 1 year into another year. So it felt quite long, but it was a phenomenal experience in the sense that you can never really prepare for it. And it is similar to starting a business. It's similar to starting a new venture, to starting something brand new. Because, like with a baby, there's a sense of extra care that you need to take into consideration. There's a certain level of responsibility that just shifts, that you just shift into. There's the sense of there's a different level of ownership, right? Not as in lording over, but just in you having that responsibility to take care of something and have something go from one level to the next level to the next level. And in these 2 months, like, I saw dramatic growth of this boy, which is so phenomenal because even from week 1 to week 2, there was visible differences in his face and his body that was just insane. And to be afforded this opportunity, I'm just extremely grateful. Um, and because I I enjoy business and I like business, to see it from ground level into its succession stages, I couldn't help but not, or I couldn't help but to make this correlation between the two. And with business, there's a lot of attributes, as if with having a child, having a baby, because there's so many things that you need to get in order that you don't think of when you start out. Like, I can't even think of anything right now, but there's certain things that you put in place, like you need to have nappies and wet wipes and a crib. You need to have something to store all those things. You need to have drawers and clothes and all these things. And then everything is good. Like when you start out, baby comes home, everything is great. But then obviously, as you go in your day to day, you realize, oh, I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to get that. And similarly with business, there's always strategies and certain implementations that you're going to think to yourself, it's great, but maybe if I try this, try that, or implement this just to tweak. And it brings me to this thing of innovation, because innovation is something, right, where you have something or you're doing something, but you want to do it cheaper, quicker, and better. And that brings you to a space of innovation. And the interesting thing about innovation, it's not that you need to recreate something, it's just that you need to populate with a system or a structure that makes something cheaper, better, and quicker. And that is this journey that we are on, having a baby and being in business. You essentially looking for something that is most cost effective, that is going to make your life simpler and make you be better at the things that you need to be doing on your day to day. And it's so incredible that when you have a baby, there's many people that want to see, and like you want to get visitors, and everybody wants to come around. Similarly with the business, when you have a product, when you have a new product, when you have something that just launched, like everybody wants to see this hype, and then things dwindle down a bit when things start settling. However, with business, you still need to continually satisfy or impress the investor or the stakeholders, right? And like for me, the father, I always need to be impressing the investor or the shareholder, which is his mother, because there's the investor is the one that puts up the resources into your business, right? So the mother is really the one that carries the ship in a sense, because without the mother, the ship can easily sink. Because in this instance, they are the backbone, the beginning and the end, the be all, because it is where the baby comes from and who the baby initially and naturally relates to, because it's the factory for feeding, essentially. And it's just a beautiful experience, right? To see this and trying to correlate it into business. It's really interesting because your investor comes with this money, this resources, but they also come with a whole host of contacts. They also come with a whole host of ideas and strategies, and things that can get this baby, which is essentially your business, from one level to the next level to the next level to the next level. And that is really, I think, like that really got me thinking around this thing where if you look at your baby, it's necessary. It needs to have certain levels of nourishment at certain points in its life, because at week one it feeds differently to week four, and similarly to your business. Because if your growth strategy is so phenomenal at week one, your start, and you boom so well, right? When you get to week four, week five, your strategy for deploying stock or providing this great service needs to take on a different level of intensity. It increases in intensity. There's a greater level of demand because of how great you are, right? So you need to supply on a different level. So yeah, it's just been so phenomenal, so crazy. Like, I think when I look at this baby, my son, I don't know, I can just think of incredible strategies that needs to be implemented into the business. And it's so crazy that this baby, it gives me that kind of um, that inspiration to be better at business. But he's not actively doing anything. It's just that he's there. So, like, similarly, when you have a business, the business doesn't do anything until you do something in it. But just the fact that it's there and there's great opportunity, you inherently have this sense of creating something in it continually to be better, to maybe be cheaper, and to make the life of the end user simpler. And there's so much that we can learn from this correlation. And I mean, I'm not the first father, so I'm not the best at understanding how or understanding the lessons involved. 2 months in, and I think I'm learning a lot. Um, and also, like, when you when you have your business starting out, you will have sleepless nights, like with having a baby. The business will cause you to put in more time than you would in your job. Your baby is gonna demand more time from you, because there's certain things that it needs right now, because it must go to the next level tomorrow or the next day. So you will wake up at 12 o'clock at night, at 3 o'clock in the morning, in order to feed. You will get a call from a customer at a ridiculous hour to perform, a, to give them a product or a service that they need in order to make their life better, make their life simpler and more pleasant. Because as we understand, babies, they cry when they are hungry. And I can't understand, or we don't know, we can't understand how they cry or how they know they need to cry when they are hungry. But it's because there's growing pains that they are going through. And you will go through growing pains as a business owner. So yeah, it's quite interesting, quite phenomenal learning experience that we have. And the the crazy thing about it is that when our baby was born, we technically got a bit more busy in the business, and it demanded a lot of time. So, and like, it was really interesting, because now, how do you manage this time? How do you create this balance between business and life, and doing life and business? But you can't necessarily separate the two. And I think